Ohayou gozaimasu.
Welcome to the next of the press conference interviews at NDK 22. And introducing
Sandy Fox. Do you guys know a lot about the voice of Chibi-usa in Sailor Moon and the new Viz dub, the regular and also the Crystal, so Classic and Crystal. And we just actually aired 2 of the movies in movie theaters, so that was pretty exciting, Sailor Moon R and Sailor Moon Super. So. And we're still recording, so it's pretty exciting that Viz Media has chosen to keep the entire series intact. In the 90s, they did remove some of the content that wasn't, they felt at that time, socially appropriate for children's audience. But now we have full-blown, relationships, Sailor Neptune and Uranus, and just all the content is there in the original manga. So it's pretty exciting that we can release this dub, and it's its full expression, and it's also such a beautiful reflection of the world right now. So we're pretty excited about that. But I'll let you guys answer or ask questions, and let me know what you want to talk about this morning.
So we'll go through 4 groups.
And then questions after.
And then questions after. Same thing.
Marcus from Kaiju no Kami Creativity by Design LLC.
Nice.
I'm Bo, and this is JP. We're from Slick Radio.
Great.
I'm Heather from Nerdfeed.
Okay.
I'm Philip from DMGIce.com and AreaDMG.com.
And I'm Jim, and this is Chris, and we're from the Game Slave.
Awesome.
So on the note that since you were already talking about Sailor Moon, how did you have to find yourself approaching Chibi-usa differently between the classic series and Crystal?
I think some of the other characters had more dramatic differences. With my character, there wasn't a lot. Of course, Crystal is a more dramatic version. It's a more condensed version of the story, more film style. But my character didn't change as much. The tone of my character wasn't, a bit different as like some of the other characters. It was noticeably different. So no, I didn't have to. There were less campy scenes, those tongue-in-cheek kind of campy humor scenes. But we still had them between me and Usagi, so I didn't have to change my character that much. Yeah, for Crystal.
Do you look up people how they review your character, and then do you heavily let that influence how you portray the character?
No, actually, I try not to look at reviews. I love being at conventions because you get direct feedback, and I've gotten such amazing supportive feedback on my take on Chibi-usa and Black Lady, but I didn't even look at the original dub. When I auditioned, it was very top secret when they sent out the auditions, and all the Sailor Guardians had already been cast. And I didn't grow up with Sailor Moon. I'm a little bit older than the 90s series, and so I didn't know a whole lot about it, and I didn't research. I didn't want to watch the 90s dub. I wanted to bring my own essence to the story. And I'm actually on the journey with my character, so I'm not going far ahead and seeing what happens. I'm actually on the journey with her, and that's how I'm choosing to portray the role and experience the story. So no, I try not to pay attention. It can really get you down if people are unhappy about your role, or and so I just try to do the best job I can every time I'm in the studio, and honor the story, honor the character, and then really tell that story and breathe life into the character. That's my mission. And saving the world one cute voice at a time.
You're adorable. And I just
Thank you.
All right, you've done a lot of additional characters in shows like King of the Hill and The Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah.
Out of every side character that you've done, do you have one that stands out to you that's a favorite for any particular reason?
No, that's called looping or walla or additional dialogue replacement. It was one of my first voiceover jobs in Hollywood. I moved to LA and got my agent, and I was cast in the ADR or walla or loop group for The Simpsons. And it was just when The Simpsons in the early 90s were coming off the Tracy Ullman show. So there are 3 women and 2 men, and we walk into the room every week, and we don't know what the script is, and they'll just say, okay, all the other main characters have already recorded, you know, Maggie and, you know, Bart and everybody. And so they'll say you're in a schoolhouse, and you have to fill all these kids in the schoolyard, or it's snake whacking day. we're gonna teach you a snake whacking song, and you're, you know, for the St. Patrick's episode. So you just, it's truly like 100% improv, and you rely on the sound supervisor to kind of walk you through the script, but what he needs next, and that's just how looping works. So not a lot of characters stand out. I did play a Swedish woman drowning in the Simpsons Olympic episode. Help, help, I'm drowning, you know, like that's something that stood out. And I later went on to do 2 years of The Critic, the same loop group, and then Futurama for 2 years, and then King of the Hill for 7. And that's such a great show, Mike Judge. That was really a fun show to work on. So nothing really stands out, but we just have fun every session. It's like playtime. We go in and like, okay, what are we doing now? Oh my gosh, you know.
Has there ever been a particular situation with the loop groups that you've been put in that's just been outrageous and difficult to get into?
Nothing difficult to get into, but lots of outrageous things. I mean, I would say most recently I did the first Wreck-It Ralph loop group, and when you get called in for a loop group at Disney, it's special because they bring in the top of the top people. I mean, you're in the room with Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, and Jess Harnell, and you know, Tara Strong, E.G. Daily. Like, they get the best of the best for Disney movies, and we came in and they're like, okay, Rich Moore's like, today you're gonna be the gummy bears and popcorn and like all these screaming candies. And we're like, okay, what does popcorn sound like, you know? So we had so much fun with that. And then a challenging session, it was really fun, but it was Maleficent for Disney, and there were only 6 of us. So Fred Tatasciore, Jessica DeChico, I'm trying to remember who else was in that session, but it was a very small, intimate session where we did all the creatures and the little fairies and the stick people in the forest, and so that was really cool. But that was a lot of vocal work that day. It's always such an honor, and so grateful to work on a Disney movie. So. I have a little piece of my heart is in Disney. I worked for Disney for 13 years as an entertainer in the entertainment department in Florida, in the Florida park. So,
So, as a veteran of voice acting and acting in general, how do you feel the industry has changed over the years in regards to the treatment of employees and how the media itself has evolved?
well, definitely technology has changed everything. Right? I think in so many art forms, we were talking about it in comic books, like now the world's opened up to way more artists, you know, and how we can contact and reach people where you had to go through a certain channel of, you know, getting your demo reel, getting an agent, and actually knocking on doors to get, you know, your agent, and you couldn't get a job unless you had an agent. And you had to be in specific cities in the country. Now, so you know, social media, technology, and the internet has really opened things up. There are lots of online voiceover agencies. You can easily send your demo, you know, to anywhere. And so I think we're a lot more accessible, but that's also opened up that world. And I think we're they call it kind of a Wild West time where digital media is so new as far as how are we going to move, you know, transfer out of broadcast television and into this form that's kind of unlimited content. You know, you can watch it over and over again, you can, you know, download it, so it's like it's like the Wild West. So I think we're all trying to figure it out and kind of make our way in it, and I think that's the you know, my advice is to be open and flexible, and you know, kind of go with the flow, and you know, you have to change your mindset and kind of move into this new age together.
What are some pieces of yourself that you see in some of the characters that you act, like especially chibi-usa?
Oh, there's a lot, yeah. I see it, I came from a childhood where I was on my own a lot. My father he struggled with alcoholism, so my mom raised me and I was by myself, and so she had to work a lot. So I really resonated with chibi-usa having great responsibility and to her mother and having to come in from the past to come back in go from the future, go into the past and help, kind of save her mom. But I connect with her sense of like being a little girl with a lot, like a mission and responsibility and emotional. And also, I think chibi-usa's superpower is her heart and her empathy and her compassion, and she sees the good in everyone, even those evil characters. She's always attracted to them and wants to follow them and help them, and I think that's her superpower is love, compassion, and empathy, and I connect with that a lot. I tend to see the good in everyone, and I want to see that and bring that out in people as well.
So, for people that might not know what this is, what can you tell us about the Love Planet Foundation and what made you do this?
Oh, okay, great. So, my husband is Lex Lang, voice actor Lex Lang. So, 17 years ago, and this is kind of before the Going Green movement and all that was kind of really, really popular. We started the Love Planet Foundation because we said, hey, we're voice actors. How can we use our voice for good? And so we would go into schools and we'd talk to kids about how to keep your watershed clean, like little tips, how they have an impact, each one of us has an impact on the planet, just by our daily choices. So we were under fiscal sponsorship of Social Environmental Entrepreneurs. It's a big umbrella foundation. Adrian Grenier has his foundation to kind of remove plastic straws on the planet, the Lonely Whale Foundation. They house a lot of foundations. And it was just in January of this year that we became our own foundation. Under 501c3, recognized by the government, and so we're able to do a lot more. So our mission is to produce media, to be at live events and produce live events that inspire youth to, take part and participate in being stewards for the planet, and that we're all in this together, and just our daily choices can make changes. So education is key. When you know what's going on in the world and your part in it, and then how you can change it, just by one person at a time. Together, 1 million of us do it, we can make positive change. So that's what the Love Planet Foundation is. Our goal is to bring more sustainability to Comic-Cons and to use anime cons, and to kind of encourage other voices in the industry to do, PSAs and kind of inspire youth, because, we're influencers, and how can we influence the world in a positive way? So, something we're working on. Thank you for asking.
I forgot where it was. So you had said that you're kind of following the journey with your acting for Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Do you research any of your other characters prior to the voice work, or do you just kind of go in and just try to fall into the part?
Well, anime is so different than mainstream animation. In anime, of course, the film comes, or the project comes over from Japan, it's translated, then it's adapted. That translation, a writer adapts it into the English adaptation that fits in those flaps. The director is a part, he knows everything about that project, he or she. And so when you walk into an anime, session, you very rarely even have much time before you walk into that session to know what show you've been cast in or your role. And then it's like a couple days, oh, we cast you on a Thursday, your first session's on Tuesday, what's your availability the next 2 weeks? So we completely rely on the director to guide us through the story and the emotional content, because we may start on page 2 and then jump to page 83, you know. So we don't get the full story in front of us, or to interact with the other characters like you would in a mainstream animation session. Like I was Harmony and Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi, and so Gray Delisle, Janice, we were all in the room together, and we're reading the script through once, and then they record the second and third time, and they go back for pickups. And we get the script a couple days ahead of time. We know a little bit more about our characters. So if there's time that you could research, but I haven't had that in my history where I had a lot of time to go back and go, you know, find the sub, you know, titled version and then watch the whole thing. So most of the time it's a lot of surrendering in the room to the project and the director and the script, and really trusting those beeps, because there's 3 beeps before you start recording, and really trusting. It's really fully surrendering over and trusting, and being the instrument, being willing to change on the dime if they want to change the direction or the emotion. I work very intuitively, so I can see in the animation when their eyes start to water up or their expression. Like I tap into the energy of my character on the screen, and then I listen to the direction and try to go with the direction.
My next question is actually kind of related to that. Since you've done anime and you've done cartoons, do you have a preference for voicing characters in one department over the other for any particular reason?
Well, the great thing about mainstream animation is that there's a lot more room for improv, like in Puffy Amiyumi, you know, I would add this creepy little stalker giggle. And so the animators can write that in, you know, or kind of, they kind of work, they animate to your voice. Where anime is much more technical, because there's so many things happening in the room at the time you're recording, you're looking at your script, you know, the director's directing you, and you're like acting in a time slot. And you have to get that emotion out in like a timed, you know, piece, whereas in mainstream animation there's a little more room. I can't say that, you know, I love all of it. I feel so grateful to be able to express my creativity and get to use my voice and my gifts and talents, you know, so I love all of it. You know, you're always happy when you get a call. Come on, you're doing this. Wow, okay, you know, because we audition a lot. All of us audition a lot. And then, you know, they say it's like 1 out of 50, so you just never know. But and those numbers get bigger once you have the world's opened up a lot more. You know, more people, you know, are auditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what you mentioned about empathy or energy, one thing you may have noticed since you've been here at NDK, we have this wonderfully vibrant energy around us, this beautiful positivity of that. So I have a quick question, really. One thing about these conventions, and you may have noticed, is that everyone is kind of like flowing in that energy. They bring in that positive energy, but they have that little bit of a high, that convention high.
Mm-hmm.
But when the convention's over and people go back to their daily lives and their work or school or family life, sometimes they lose that energy, that positivity. Do you have any suggestions for how they can ground that energy or keep that energy going in their day-to-day lives outside of the convention?
Well, I definitely love that you mentioned that. It kind of ties into why I'm so honored to be working on Sailor Moon. There's something about this world where everyone's accepted. You know, there's no judgment, you know, it's like every color, every race, every size, every shape, you know, every community, everyone's so accepted here. And you know, part of our work in the Love Planet Foundation is how can we bring this energy out into the world, you know? But I would say it's really easy to get caught up in negativity, especially on social media and with our political, you know, system at this time. It's kind of like negativity is popular, you know, to like chime in, and that'll just bring you down right away. So you know, if people can stay in the flow of like posting positive things about their life and, you know, really just staying in that field of, you know, what's good today. I know all these things aren't so great, but focus on what's good, because there's a thing called the law of attraction, and where we place our attention becomes our intention. And that's just brings more of that into our world. So when we focus on the good, more good comes. And it's really all existing in the world. You know, there's good, there's bad, and it's like what pool do I want to put my energy into today? Do I want to feed the good, or if I feed the bad, then there's just going to be more that shows up in my life, you know. So yeah, I would just stay focused on what's good in your life. What are you grateful for? That's a good question. I try to wake up with that every day, like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? And go from there, start my day from there. Thank you, though. That's a great question.
Do you have a piece of media or another actor that's really influenced your work and how you approach acting?
Oh, well, I started professionally performing when I was 14 and 15. I did musical theater in high school, and then I grew up in Pittsburgh, and I worked at a theme park, Kennywood Theme Park in Pittsburgh. I was an entertainer, and when I was 17, I moved to Orlando and started performing for Disney World. But, you know, my influences were comedy-based, like Carol Burnett. You know, these are some of the old days, but I love Carol Burnett and all the variety shows. But I would have to say she's one of my biggest influences as far as like just acting and comedy and bringing joy. I loved the Muppets growing up. Oh my gosh, I love the Muppets. And I actually got an opportunity in the 90s to be on Muppets Tonight. It was the Don Rickles episode. And I was one of Grouper's cheerleaders, and we were trying to take over the TV station, and I slapped Kermit with a powder puff. And Grouper says, "It's a hostile takeover, not a makeover." So it was fun. Yeah, but those are my influences. Disney, all the Disney movies growing up, and the Muppets, like everything magical. I was just a fan of joy and magic.
So that's all the time we have. If there's any last statements you want to be able to give our press outlets before we...
Oh, okay.
Your social media.
Oh yeah, social media on Twitter and Instagram at Sandy Fox World, Facebook Sandy Fox, and my website sandyfox.com, and Love Planet Foundation. Just Google it. So thanks, you guys. Mwah.
Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.